Okay, well, let's get started looking at these. Hey, Les. Okay, Don. Appreciate you being here. And yeah, I'm sure you'll come back and chat if you can. Yes, we're back. Hey, Jeff. Hi, Ryan. Let's see if I missed anybody. I don't see anybody. I think Cheryl would be proud of me because now I got me a dot. Let's get started here and looking at these rocks. So when I tumble, usually it's saw scrap that I tumble. Hey, Cheryl, look here. As long as the sticky doesn't come off the back, I'll be in good shape. Or as long as I don't move the base. But let me get where I can zoom in. So this one's neat. I like to leave the husk on some of them, and you can see the colors in the yellow in the side here and the depth. I have no idea where this one came from, but kind of neat there. Again, I do the let's see. I do the saw scraps typically, but I've had a lot of petrified wood recently, and this is Idaho, from Salmon, Idaho. And they got some really neat petrified wood up there. I can't wait to make a cab. I want to do a cab and a bolo out of it. This next one is moss agate. And sometimes I have, an agate will break or something, and I'll just throw it in the tumbler and let it go till it rounds it off some. But you can see the moss on that. I'm going to try to zoom in a little. Hi, Lonnie. Okay. So I'm not a super huge chert fan, but okay, this one here is pretty cool. And it's got some dings in it, and you'll see that in this batch of tumbles. So this is all opaque in here. It's shining. It took a great polish, but it is opaque. So I'm going with chert. Try to move that. Okay. Hey, Meg, welcome back. Okay. And I don't know where a lot of these came from. I got a bunch of rocks from an estate, and by bunch, I mean 16 5-gallon buckets full. So I've started dumping some of those in the tumbler because there's no way that I can cab all that stuff. And so, I just dumping some of it in. And a lot of the pet wood here is from that. This is an agate from Balmorhea, Texas, and a lot of their agates to me aren't, I don't know, just eye popping. because they'll have moss or band that's about the same color as the whole stone. But man, it takes a great polish. So here's another one you can see that's it's black. This is what they call Ball-Murray blue with a green to dark gold brown moss. And the white is some of the shell off the outside husk. So anyhow, they take a great polish. They just, I have other rocks I think that I like better. So here is a thunder egg that broke. And I don't know how long I had to tumble this thing to get it like this. But it is, the chalcedony part of it is really nice. Agate part, it's got some moss and stuff in it, and rhyolite outside. Here's another one. I have no idea what it is. You can see the pits in it, so it wouldn't be a great cabbing piece unless you just filled in the dots on that. But it's got a nice pattern to it. It's pretty rock. I don't know, I think this is a quartzite kind of rock. But it took a good polish, and this is another, wow, I gotta stop and read that. Man, I spent a lot of time in the wild with the gun. This is another Ball-Murray agate. So you can see it's clear agate, but the bands are really faint in there. But again, the polish it takes a great polish. And I'm not super careful about keeping soft stones and hard stones separated. I mean, some of it I do watch out for. How many rocks have I bagged? Too many. Too many. Oh, crud, I forgot about the battery. Okay, this camera's gonna shake here. I gotta plug in to life support on the phone. It didn't. So I may have to get a different charger. We'll see. We'll just rock and roll along here. So, yeah, not a lot of contrast. This is some pet wood. I got quite a bit of pet wood in that estate. And that is a pretty piece of pet wood. Really, that may need to be cut down and cabbed. Yeah. So it'd be cool to see a rock hounding video. I don't think you'd like have a video of me with my iPad searching eBay, because that's the only rock hounding I've done in over a year. So, except for a couple of parking lots. This again is, this is Idaho, Salmon, Idaho. It's a little thin piece of it. But I love that blonde wood. This came out of that estate sale bunch. And this right here was never gonna clean up, so I just let it go and tumbled and got what I could. And I mean, I could have cut this off, I guess, but then I wouldn't have this right here. So anyhow, that's a pretty one. Yeah, I'll go with that, Jeff. Here's another one of those brown moss Balmoral blues. So this agate right here, chalcedony, whatever you want to call it, silicon oxide. I just like the way that the colors blend. It's like they transition real well, soft edges. And this is also Balmoral agate. And so I went on a 2-day hunt down there with Terry Smith. And
outside front lights isn't responding.
Okay, get over it, Alexa. Okay. Sorry. Here's another piece of pet wood that came out of that estate. There was almost a whole 5-gallon bucket of it. You can see the photo light. I mean, the polish, it took a really good polish. And it's kind of concave on this side here, so it's hard to get that. It's convex on this side. Anyhow, here's some of that pattern from that Idaho pet wood. Okay, I missed that one, Cheryl. But I like the little splotches on it in the different colors. Thank you, Mag. That sewing got banged up pretty good. And it may have been like that beforehand. Choo. Cook on a cedar plank. That doesn't sound good for anything. So it looks like clouds in the sky. This is also a Balmoral agate. White on clear. It just doesn't have a lot of contrast. This is the outside that you're seeing. And that's big chunks. I mean, it's pretty stuff. I got about, I don't know, 2.5 5-gallon buckets when I went. And I just had to throw some of it in a tumbler because I wanted to polish it. I've made a few cabs out of it, but that brown on black is not a cab that I'd really like to, if I was doing a bolo or something. This is just chert, I believe. That's what I'm calling it. And here's another of the Balmoral agates. And you can see it takes a dynamite shine, but it's got a white, very light white moss on, a white background. It's not too, not a lot of contrast. Okay, y'all are talking about cooking salmon. Keep tumbling, Dad. Quit talking and keep tumbling. So yeah, another piece of pet wood that came out of that estate. I mean, I just don't get enough of this wood from Idaho. I have some bigger pieces and just can't wait to get a cab out of it. So I don't think this is pet wood. It's got some interesting pattern. That may be some fibers. No, it's out in West Texas. It's no water around. I mean, it's desert out there. But there's another one that just a ton of those things out there. That thing's fractured to pieces. It may have got busted up in the tumbler. I have a tumbler that's takes about 50 pounds of rocks, and I usually run stage one at about twice the speed it's supposed to run at to round them. So kind of impatient. Maybe I need to slow it down. But really, I don't think I would have passed these. Usually something like that, if it, instead of going to stage two, it'd go to the rock garden or one of the rock gardens. Kind of neat piece of chert here. Little sparkle stars, snowflakes, or there's another one of Balmeray agates. White on white. And this is the husk here. Some petrified wood. That's a pretty piece of petrified wood right there. That just looks good. Not so much from that side, but that's not uncommon with pet wood. Oh, Mag, it's growing. I'm working on it. Here's another piece of pet wood. Kind of looks cool from the end. It's not picking up what I'm seeing. So more of the Balmeray agates. See a little bit of banding on that one, but I think that was on the outside. And you can see a little banding on this, but you see how it's just like ghost banding. So another Balmeray. Another Balmeray agate. So Terry Smith, that guides those hunts, she does hunts nearly every day, or someone down there does. And they go to different ranches. This Balmeray agates came off the Pigman Ranch. If you could get in with Aaron, he does hunts on the Coconut 06, which is pretty well-known ranch. Got some beautiful material. See, now there's another kind of Balmeray agate. It just looks like someone, I don't know, spit tobacco or something down in that. It just, to me, that's just not very impressive. And it's just a spotty rock. I guess it may be kind of like that one we saw earlier. This one's kind of pretty. Gray chalcedony here and just wispy white going through it. You can see down the bands looking at it like that. Cool stuff. So here we got the Turtitella, or Smelly Shelly, whichever one you want to call it. Jeff, I buy my grit on Amazon in, I think it's $30 or $33 for 10 pounds of one grit. Crapatella. Hey, Akara, how are you? Now there's some nice banding in that salmon Idaho wood. Say banding grain. But I mean, it's just fractured to pieces. So that might find a way to the rock garden, I don't know. And here's a pretty cool piece of petrified wood. No idea where these came from. That's interesting, pet wood. I didn't catch that before when I was looking at it. You see the yellow? Look at the yellow on the edges. That's kind of neat the way that did. I guess some kind of a staining that took place. Not all rocks tumble well. That one's going to the rock garden. And just a little crystal pocket, and I mean, it's just saw scrap. Stuff that came off something that I cut a cab out of, except the pet wood. The pet wood is all just from little pieces. There's a pretty piece of the pet wood from Salmon, Idaho. Another piece of Idaho wood there. And another one. That kind of looks like a deer hide on a fawn hide there. When I found this wood in Idaho, it looked like trees just exploded. It was everywhere. I think we collected about a 2-gallon bucket in, well, it was under 30 minutes. Pretty stuff. That looks like silicon. I don't know. I'm not going with wood on that one. I don't. That looked kind of like just a mossy agate. Another piece of Idaho pet wood. Got this stuff running out my ears. Balmeray agate. I like the contrast and the grain in that. And another one that just has those soft edges that just blend in. Red and yellow and white. Kara, that's a good question. So I put rocks, this reminds me of Balmeray right here. See the brown moss on black? I go in stage one and I let them tumble until, as I find round ones, good ones ready to go to stage two, then I'll pull them out of the rotary tumbler. Look at the little agate seam. I'll pull them out of the tumbler and put them into stage two. Sometimes they'll tumble for months. But I've got a little bit of my scrap boulder opal in there right now. Stuff makes a mess in the slurry, but I think it's in the last stage, which I use a 5-stage process. And after stage one in the rotary, I go to a vibratory tumbler, and I'll do a stage 2 at 220 and a stage 3 at 600, a stage 4 at 1,000, all silicon carbide. And then I'll go to aluminum oxide, that's 12,000. And, I wash them pretty fair between the stages, but I'm pretty careful before I go into polish, because silicon carbide, it breaks down to finer grit as as your rocks tumble. So, I rinse them off, but I don't scrub them really at that stage. How in the world does something like those red lines, get in there? Let me check the chat. Make sure I know I said hi to Ryan. If I missed you, hi Ryan. So a lot of times, this is another Balmeray agate, and a lot of times you'll see these bands on the outside and think, oh man, that's gonna be a real banger. And then when you cut it open, you get those real faint white lines, ghost banding, I guess you can call it. And, but again, man, I'm not complaining, it takes a dynamite polish. I mean, that's, I usually will cut that little tab off there, but I evidently didn't on that one. It's another piece of pet wood. I guess that's probably quartzy, jaspery something, quartzite. Yeah. I'd be in trouble if my rocks start multiplying, liable to break the slab here at the house. So on tumbles, I got my vibratory tumblers. I have two 10-pounders that run, and so I process a lot of rocks. But I do different things with them. So I say, I throw stuff in a rock garden, and I do that a lot. And I'm kind of slowly building up a rock garden. But sometimes they end up in the backyard somewhere. I don't know if the dog carries it off or what, but I'll be walking along after a rain and I'll see a rock shining in the mud. So, but the other thing that I do with them is I'll take, I kind of keep the A grade and B grade, I separate them. C grade is just like, that goes in a rock garden in the backyard. But a lot of times I'll just take a container with B grade and keep it in the truck. And then when I'll go to Walmart or to work or whatever, I'll take and I'll toss a handful of those rocks, out in the other rocks, in the bull rock that's out there. And, somebody will come along and find them a shiny rock. And while I'm saying, hey, that's B grade, well, it might be a big thrill for them. And then I take this kind of neat brush here. I take the other ones and put them in jars. It's kind of cool on that fracture. That is pretty petrified wood. That needs to be made into a pendant, I think. I believe that's moss agate there. I'm getting a glare. So a chalcedony or a moss agate's what I'm going with. A little piece of a thunder egg. That's that one will go off in B or C grade. And yeah, the beads, that would be good. I don't do any of that stuff though. So this didn't take the mirror polish, but it's kind of nice in that matte, looking at the matte finish on it. That's got beautiful, beautiful grain. Like I said, a lot of wood that I took when I was filling up tumblers, I ran out of stuff and I grabbed a bucket that had a lot of pet wood and just dumped them in to fill them up. Well, there was a cab gone bad right there. I guess it broke or something. Ah, yeah. That's a good idea, Jeff. I mean, that's just from a broken nodule. And more of the Balmeray. Brown on black agate. There's a piece of blonde wood. That one didn't come from Idaho. That's a different. It doesn't look the same. I think this is chert, but man, it's just this really pretty polish on it. So I've taken some of the A grade and stuck them in. I got a couple of gumball machines that I filled up, and yeah, wouldn't that be something as a kid? I'm thinking, well, maybe one day a kid's having a bad day and he'll come along and find that rock and brighten the day up. Maybe that's a stretch, but might make a rock hound out of somebody too. I like the yellow on the dark brown. So Jim State, you're from Idaho, Don? See, I didn't realize that one was in there. It's not very impressive, but that's a Balmeray look, and there's another one. I guess one time I dumped a bucket of Balmeray stuff in there. I do like that too. I like the way that Alan does that. What kind of agate is this, Jeff? Is it a Botswana? I have no idea. Well, looking at that, I thought it was smoky quartz until I flipped it over. It's nice to break the tan, brown, reddish kind of just same old with a little green in there. It looks like crazy lace. Yeah, that's what that is. There's pet wood. Hey, buddy. A piece off of that's Montana agate. I don't know, maybe. And then more of this. I got a lot of that Balmeray stuff. And that looks really good from one side, or three sides. Boy, on that back side, it's really wore out there. I guess it eroded out. Pretty piece of pet wood. Another piece of agatized wood, I believe it is. Pet wood. Idaho wood. And that's more Idaho. Pet wood. Getting down to an end on this. That's got some really great contrast. That's a pretty tumble right there. Piece of opal, common opal, or it may be that porcelain jasper. Jeff, man, this is ready for a pendant. Ready for a necklace. So that is a lot of what, that's pretty much, I'm pretty much to the end here. And I take these and let me spread those out so it can get out of the frame. So not all rocks turn out great. Dang you, sorry thing. Not all rocks turn out so great. This is some of the bloopers, I guess. It's a real pretty moss on that side. That one should have been chunked after stage one. That's usually what would happen. This one here was just fractured. Also should have gone in a pile after stage one. It's that porcelain jasper. I don't know why I put it in the not so good polished. But, I mean, you have stuff that just doesn't work out. You know, not all the rocks are perfect. And here's some lanite that, a lot of lanite's hard to polish just because it's so soft. And it undercuts pretty bad. But you know, I just wanted to show a few of those, and I'll show a little bit of what I've done with tumbled rocks. Sometimes I'll fill up a mason jar like this. We need to zoom out. I'll fill up a mason jar. Bought these little plastic lids on Amazon so they don't get, you know, they don't rust. But that's a pint mason jar. And this right here is all Apache tears. And I put, you know, I just kept collecting them in there. And then I got a jar that's got carnelian in it. And, you know, it's not full yet, but you know, in some of the tumbling batches, I get carnelian. And if it's something I want to put in there, well, I'll put it, you know, I'll add it until that's full. And then I've done some other things with them. Give me a second. Maybe some dust bunnies on this. Ooh, I can't zoom out. Let's try to angle it. So I found this bottle at a garage sale and bought it and filled it up with small rocks. I got another one that I got at work. It's like that. And I mean, that sits up on the counter of the bar here. And here's a oil bottle. So like a cooking oil, olive oil bottle. And I have one jar that is a gallon jar that's full of nice agates that are polished. And it sits on the shelf. But, you know, it's that kind of stuff that I do with it. If I find a jar I like or a bottle I like, then I'll save it. And I got a lot of little plastic jars. I say jars. I'm looking at one right now that's a dog treat container. Let's call them containers instead of jars because that sucker's over a gallon. And the things that animal crackers come in with the little teddy bear, I've got 3 or 4 or 5 of those filled up, and they, you know, they reside under the bed until I find something to put them in. And so, anyhow, yeah, that's what I do with all the rocks. I've got some of that ironstone from Boulder Opal. I don't expect it to have flash. I really feel like the flash is going to be beat out of it going through the tumbler. But yeah, hey, Sage. That's going to be coming out in a couple of days. It's on the polish stage, and I think it finishes up tomorrow. And you know, it may be that ironstone, it breaks down real bad, and so it may be that the grit from that is higher than the 600 or 1,000 grit, or if it breaks down during the polish stage, it might just dull everything out. Who knows? But I'm trying it out to see, and because you know, those Yawa nuts has some really pretty patterns on them, and so even if they don't have the color in them, if they don't have the flash in them, they really can polish up nice. So that's all I had. Let me check the chat real quick. I don't think I missed anybody coming in. Okay, I see J and V. I see you, Jeff, you're talking about Julie and Brian, probably their rock load. Jeff has more rocks than I got. And definitely got more rocks than I got. And I need to thin that out. There's no way I'll ever cab everything. So anyhow, that's it. I don't need to ramble on. And yeah, Jerry's the one that has a lot. Man, he's got rocks outside and buckets freezing and all kinds of good stuff. He's starting to sell some of his, so that's a Wisconsin rock stalker. You know, I saw that Addie was going to do either a premiere or a live around 9 o'clock Central, if I'm not mistaken. Romania Rockhound. Is there anybody else that y'all know of that's doing premiere live Jeff had a video, J&V Rock Hounding had a video dropped earlier today. I hadn't got to watch that yet, where he was cutting. Yeah, just put it in the chat if you know of anyone else that's got anything going tonight. And yeah, that's all I have. I'm not going to show those templates again. I'll do a video on that. Hope y'all have a great night. Thank you for joining and looking at rocks with me. I had a good time. Enjoy watching the chat. But we're going to wrap it up here. And so until the next time, y'all take care, and we'll catch you on that next one.